Alright, so this is Makuru Yammori, the strongest cultivator to ever exist. He's standing there facing down an entire demon army, and he's the one who saved the whole continent from being wiped out by defeating the Demon King's forces. After this massive battle, he thinks everything's done, the danger's finally over. But then his companions show up, and something feels off. They're acting weird, talking about their next plan in this cryptic way, and that's when it happens. Out of nowhere, one of his own allies drives a stake straight through him. The person he trusted most just turned on him. Instead of being honored for saving everyone, he gets betrayed. He's lying there on the ground, staring up at them with pure rage in his eyes, asking why? Why would they do this? And with his last breath, he's screaming that he'll drag every single one of them down with him. Then, suddenly, Yammori wakes up. He's hearing voices calling his name over and over, voices he doesn't recognize. A woman walks up to him, and all he can think is that he should be dead right now. He looks around, and he's surrounded by students. He has no idea where he is. For a second, he actually wonders if this is the underworld. Then some guy starts making fun of him for passing out during a test. Another one's mocking him, saying they shouldn't even call him young master anymore since he got kicked out of his family. There's a girl there too, ignoring all of it, telling someone named Katama to get back to the test and set a new record. Katama turns around with this smug look and agrees, all full of himself. The teacher tells everyone to keep going with the test. And that's when it hits Yammori. Memories start flooding his mind. He realizes he's not in his own world anymore. He's been reborn into the body of someone with the same name. From these memories, he learns he was born into a powerful family, but after his parents died, the clan kicked him out. He's in complete shock. This world is nothing like his own. And here's the thing, the people in this world don't know how to cultivate their inner energy. They have this power in the air called ki, but nobody knows how to actually use it. Yammori can feel it though, faint as it is, and because of who he was in his past life, he knows exactly how to absorb this energy. So he starts practicing right there, and he can feel his body getting stronger. It all comes back to him, what it means to be a real cultivator. Just from that initial cultivation, he clears his blocked meridians. He even notices he's gotten a little taller. With his power awakened, he swears he's going to get back to his continent as soon as he regains his original strength. His main goal now is revenge. He wants to make every single one of those traitors pay for what they did. But right now, his strength is only at the first stage. He needs to take it slow and level up carefully. He decides to use this test to see what his new body can do. He walks up to the group and a teacher asks if he's feeling all right. He confirms he's going to participate in the 100-meter dash. One of the bullies laughs and points out that Kadama's up next, the school's record holder who's already been accepted into college. Kitama and his girlfriend join in, mocking him, saying he has no pride left. Yammori ignores them. He's thinking that, yeah, he's only at the first stage right now, but a cultivator's body has way more potential than a normal person's. The bully keeps going, saying he's going up against the record holder, and nobody else even wanted to race him. Yammori and Kitama take their positions at the starting line. The official gives the command, and they're ready. Kitama's glaring at him, determined to humiliate him in front of everyone. The gun fires. Kitama bolts forward while Yammori just stands there at the starting line, not moving. He's got this smirk on his face. Everyone's confused. The bullies start laughing, thinking he's such a loser he can't even move. Then Yammori thinks to himself that 3 seconds will be enough, and he takes off. The speed is insane. Everyone's jaws drop. The teacher is stunned because what they're seeing completely shatters their understanding of what's possible. He easily overtakes Kitama, displaying strength that's beyond human limits. He crosses the finish line way before his opponent. Kitama's still running, completely dumbfounded that he's been left that far behind. Everyone's in absolute shock. The difference between a cultivator and a normal person is like comparing modern humans to primitive ones. The gap is massive. The teacher looks at the time and can't believe it. 9.88 seconds, a new record. Kitama falls to his knees, completely humiliated. He's on the ground in a cold sweat, yelling that it's impossible. Meanwhile, Yammori realizes his new body has perfect physical aptitude. From here on, he's going to show everyone that he can reach the top again. After the test, he heads to the restroom to think about his new life. To reach the first stage of cultivation properly, he needs special remedies, but those items are extremely expensive. He checks his phone and sees the money from the previous owner of this body won't buy him anything useful. He considers making and selling talismans to scrape up some cash, but with only 1,000 yen in his account, he can't even afford the cheapest materials. That's when a guy appears at the restroom door just staring him down. Then a whole group of bullies shows up and surrounds him. Haru Osaki says he's collecting this month's protection fee early, and Kaduma's with him. Yammori remembers that the previous owner of this body always got beaten up by these guys. Kitama warns Haru that something's off about Yammori and tells him to handle it. The boxing club captain approaches, saying a loser like him is no trouble at all. He prepares a punch, thinking one blow will be enough. The old Makuto would have just closed his eyes and taken it. But things are different now. Yammori catches the punch with ease. From a cultivator's perspective, a boxing captain is just another weak, ordinary person. He goes on the offensive, landing a kick on the first guy. Katama and his friend can't believe this is the same Yammori. He glares at them with his cold look and asks if they're scared. Before they can react, he grabs the hands of the two remaining bullies and squeezes hard, showing his overwhelming superiority. They're screaming in pain, begging him to let go. He just smiles and says the fun's just getting started. They admit they were wrong and beg him to stop. He throws both of them to the ground with a single move. Katama's on the floor begging for mercy, terrified. Meanwhile, Haru gets up quietly and tries to sneak away, but Yammori yells that he won't let him escape. With one devastating punch, he sends Haru flying headfirst into the lockers. The guys left on the ground, all banged up, unable to get up. Yammori warns that next time things won't end so nicely. Katama's looking at him like he's a monster. The others are trembling, begging him not to come closer. He glares at them and tells them to return everything that belongs to him. They're confused at first, but with a threatening look, he reminds them they took things from him. Kaduma agrees to return everything. The guys take Haru to the nurse's office, and Yamamori knows they won't say a word. He reflects that school is just a nuisance and decides he'll leave as soon as he can. Fortunately, he got back the money the bullies had stolen. With this cash, he can finally buy materials and take the first step toward his revenge. With the money in hand, he begins refining the materials he bought. He channels his spiritual energy into them, creating talismans with mystical effects. He focuses, preparing to finalize the creation process. He picks up the finished talismans, which look like colorful cards. He's smiling, thinking he can sell these and make some good money. 3 weeks go by. He hasn't sold a single one. People look at the items suspiciously and aren't interested. He's getting discouraged. Suddenly, a bark catches his attention. He sees a little dog, all injured, running toward him. The poor animal collapses on the ground from serious injuries. He gets closer to check on the dog's condition. He decides to test one of his talismans on it. He uses a healing talisman that completely restores injured organs and bodies. The dog slowly opens its eyes. The power worked. The dog makes a full recovery and barks excitedly. It's rubbing against him in gratitude. Suddenly, the pup starts growling at a couple approaching them on the street. This is Shiwata and Shizuru Suga from wealthy families. Shizuru seems unconcerned about the animal at first. She tells her companion to take the dog to a hospital, saying she doesn't want to deal with it. Then she notices something strange and is very surprised. She approaches and asks what he did to the dog. She explains the animal was covered in blood and she thought it was a lost cause. Yamamori notices she's holding a piece of paper and asks if she's going to visit someone in the hospital. He realizes this is the perfect opportunity to sell his product. He shows her the talisman he used to heal the animal. Shiwata doesn't believe it and accuses him of being a scammer, even saying he must have run over the dog on purpose. Shizuru ignores him and asks if the talisman can be used on any person. Desperate, she wants to know if it can heal someone in a vegetative state. He confirms he wants to save the person and explains his power can heal brain damage. He shows a special talisman, saying it's perfect for this situation. Shiwata gets irritated and tells her not to believe this nonsense. Yamamori ignores him and hands the talisman to Shizuru, explaining how to use it. He reveals the prices, the most expensive costing 400,000, the cheapest 200,000 yen. Shizuru offers 1 million yen for all the talismans. Her friend's in shock. Shiwata goes after Yamamori and tells him to get lost, but Yamamori easily grabs the guy's hand, stopping the attack instantly. With a firm grip, he warns him not to interfere in his business. With a terrifying look, he tells him to leave. Then he throws the attacker to the ground with a single move. The negotiation's a success. He hands the items over. He even gives her 2 more for free, one for protection and another for a fireball. With a smirk, he says he hopes she never has to use those 2. Shizuru is moved by it all and thanks him from the bottom of her heart. As he's walking away, she turns around and asks his name. Shiwata yells that he's a scammer and not to be trusted. She admits she finds it impossible too, but she'll do anything for a chance to save her mother. The little dog decides to follow Yammori wherever he goes. With cash in his pocket, he can finally look for a decent place to live. His next step is to find medicinal herbs to speed up his cultivation. Suddenly, the pup starts barking, drawing his attention to something nearby. He comes across a mansion emanating strong spiritual energy. He's surprised, wondering what's growing in that house's garden. To his surprise, he finds rare silver heart grass, a very powerful herb. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Shuada is having his injuries treated. With his hand all banged up, he complains that Yammori is not a nice guy. Full of anger, he swears next time they meet, things will be different. Suddenly, an imposing figure appears in the doorway. This is Kenji Suga, the city councilman, and he asks what they were thinking. He turns to Shizuru and asks if she fell for a scammer's tall tale. Two nurses gossip that the councilman's daughter was tricked and spent a fortune. Shizuru ignores them and says she wants to try just one more time. With the talisman in hand, she thinks this is her last chance. Her father loses his patience and yells that's enough, that she's lost her mind. He can't believe his daughter fell for such a story. She asks what he's done. With a furious look, she turns to him and decides to confront him. She accuses him of not visiting her mother while she was unconscious in the hospital. She yells that if he had taken her to the hospital sooner, none of this would have happened. She says that if her mother passes, he'll act as if nothing happened. Kenji raises his hand to strike his daughter, but stops midair, glaring at her with pure rage. He just sighs and brushes off his shoulder with disdain. With his back to her, he says she's become completely insolent, but Shizuru screams desperately that she won't let him stop her from trying. Determined, she approaches her mother's bed and swears she'll never give up. The talisman in her hand glows intensely, releasing a blue light. Kenji turns around, startled, asking what's happening. To everyone's surprise, her mother, Yoko Shuga, opens her eyes and speaks to her daughter. Overcome with emotion, Shizuru calls out for her mother, while Kenji runs to get a doctor. With a smile on his face, he's yelling in the hallway that his wife has finally woken up. A doctor and nurse hear everything and are shocked. The medical team rushes to the room to examine her. The doctor explains she'll be able to return to a normal life in about a year and a half. Shizuru looks at the talisman and realizes this only happened because of it. She watches it dissolve in her hand, confirming it was what worked. The doctor and Kenji are left with their mouths hanging open, yelling that it's impossible. The doctor says it can only be a miracle, and Shizuru glares at her father. Shuada trembles in fear, wondering if Yammori is some kind of immoral being. Soon after, Shizuru emotionally hugs her mother, who apologizes for all the suffering. With the other talisman in hand, she swears she'll find Yammori to repay him. Yammori finally finishes moving into a new place. He remembers all the traitors and swears he'll never forgive what they did. But to do that, he first needs to reach the 11th stage of Chui refining. With a determined look, he promises the day of his revenge is getting closer. Lying on his bed, he realizes the spiritual energy of this world is slowly fading. He needs an item rich in power to continue. He thought only spiritual springs or very rare materials could help him, but as luck would have it, he found the silver heart grass growing inside his room. Unlike normal herbs, this item is used to refine elixirs that increase his level. He plans to use it to create a pill and reach the 2nd stage. He decides he must begin his training immediately. He goes to a market to look for the other ingredients still missing. He realizes the items for the pill are far too expensive for him. Even by selling his talismans, he can't escape his problems. With a keen eye, he notices suspicious guys are back to watch him. They've been watching him for days, and today they seem ready to finally do something. Tired of it, he decides he's going to confront them. Suddenly, a girl appears and calls him by his name. He's very surprised. She asks why he's not going to college and what he's doing in this weird place. She says he was kicked out of his home, and that's why he doesn't have time to study anymore. He remembers she's the classmate who used to defend the body's previous owner. Feeling sorry for him, she offers to lend him money so he can go to college, but he refuses and says he has something to do before he leaves. Seeing his attitude, she gets worried, thinking something very strange has happened. He enters a narrow alley to take care of his problems. With a determined look, he prepares to finish off all the guys at once. He starts running, and a goon with a knife appears to chase him. The attackers yell that he's running away and rush to catch him. The group of bullies corners him in a dead-end alley. He stops running and faces the enemies approaching. With a confident smile, he warns them that now they can't escape. He challenges the whole group to come at him all at once. Fearlessly, the entire gang reveals itself, preparing for combat with their weapons. The group's leader smiles and says the fun is just getting started. With a cold look, Yammori asks why they spied on him and who sent them. The bald guy scoffs, saying he's reckless for picking a fight with the big dogs. He wonders why the young lady from the Amitani family took an interest in a guy like him. Yammori recognizes the name and remembers the body's previous owner was engaged to the girl. However, the engagement ended when he was kicked out of the family for being weak. He decides he's going to make the guys talk the hard way. Hiding nearby, the classmate realizes the Yakuza wants to attack Yammori. She thinks he doesn't stand a chance against so many armed men with his weak body. She decides to call the police and ask for help as quickly as possible. Suddenly, one of the guys appears behind her and sneers at her menacingly. The thug grabs her from behind and asks who she's calling. Yammori comes around when he hears the girl screaming for the attacker to let her go. At that moment, the real boss of the gang arrives, and the goons get excited. Without hesitation, the new boss grabs the young woman roughly to use her as a hostage. Yammori wonders why his classmate followed him all the way here. The boss mocks that Yammori's quite popular, charming another young student. Desperate, she yells for him to run because the guys are all armed. She says she's the daughter of the Machiyama family and that they can't lay a finger on her. But the bald guy laughs and says if he takes her out right there, no one will ever find out. He takes out a knife and prepares to attack her while she pleads for him to stop. The attacker warns that if she's going to blame someone, she should blame her own stupidity. Before he can do anything, Yammori rushes forward at an insane speed. With a precise strike, he hits the villain's hand, making him drop the knife. With a glint in his eye, he thinks he didn't want to draw attention to himself, but getting caught and taking a beating just isn't his style. A devastating punch lands square on the bald guy's face. The young woman's jaw is on the floor, wondering if this is really the Yammori she knows. The other goons are frozen in fear, not knowing what to do. He glares at them coldly and asks one more time who sent them.